We have some very dark episodes to go over, so let's get right into it. Welcome back to my channel, everybody. We're going over all the shows that I'm watching, and we have a lot of really serious and kind of disappointing things to go over, so let's get right into my favorite show first, Qarz E Jaan. This episode was extremely heavy, and honestly, like, I understand that this is the reality of the world, but it really hurt my feelings because I was really rooting for Maheen. Maheen confronts the entire family. She comes to Ammar's home and asks for him, or asks for the family to delete the videos of her, and the audacity for everyone to be like, what are you talking about? What videos? What kind of videos? Like, the gaslighting was so intense in this episode. It was ridiculous. And of course they or actually surprisingly, they decide to go ahead and give her the phone so she can delete everything. And then I was just thinking, like, I'm sure he has copies, multiple copies stored somewhere, but she decides as long as the phone, or as long as the videos are deleted, she's not going to pursue further action against him. She just wants to be like left alone and in peace. Unfortunately, she comes to a very suspicious, tragic death where she is hit by a car, and it's very obvious that the dad orchestrated this, and it is also very obvious that it seems like the family is extremely unaffected by this. They understand without even having to really question anything. They understand that this was their own doing, that the dad basically covered him up, or covered things up for Ammar, which again, I just don't understand, like, why you would go so far for kids that are useless. Okay, I get it. I understand that you like really care about your kids and they are your izzat or whatever, and they represent your family, so you have to make the family look good. I get that. But for them to be that bad, like, I don't get that, you know? But this is what happens when you have a lot of power, a lot of money, resources, and connections. And it was really upsetting to see, because I was really like, I was wondering, like, when they show the scene of her walking, I was like, I really hope nothing just happens out of nowhere. And it did. And it's funny because I happened to pause right when she got hit by the car, and you can, it's not funny by the way, but the editing was funny because I paused it in a way where you could see how they like actually like edited her into the frame. Like, obviously she didn't literally actually get hit by a car in real life, it was all edited. And because I was able to see that, because I happened to pause it at the right time, I thought that was funny, but the whole situation is not funny. But I think what was crazy was the fact that Nashwa it seems like Nashwa is opening her eyes to the world for the first time, because she seems to be the only one shocked by all of this. And it's like, how sheltered were you if you went to law school? So you should be aware, you should have studied cases and stuff like that, so it shouldn't be as surprising. And you are aware of how your family is, you understand that they're powerful people, so why is that so surprising? And is that what happens when you're sheltered in that way, and only now you've gotten some kind of freedom to work and freedom to think, almost outside of just like within your small circle and community of people? I'm not sure, but it just seems a little bit surprising because no one else was bothered by this. And even the Dadi had the audacity to say that she made a false accusation, so this was karma. The Dadi is so evil, and the dad continues to be so scary. And I'm so conflicted with him too, because I feel like he understands that what he is like, he understands that his kid is not a good kid. I think he understands that, but I think he feels like helpless, which is how often like parents feel with their kids, is they feel helpless because kids make mistakes and they don't know any better and they don't listen and all of that. But like, this is really serious, right? It's not like, oh, I don't know, like he cheated on a test or something like that, you know, in like 5th or 6th or 7th grade or something. Like, it just seems like he understands that, like, because he's so upset with the embarrassment and the actions of his son, it seems, because he does like take any moment he can to beat the shit out of him. But it just seems like it's almost like, well, I have no other choice, this is what you're supposed to do when you're the dad, like, you just have to protect the family at like no matter the cost, essentially. And it's just like the moral compass is just not there, it seems. And yeah, and I also wonder, like, if you have that much power, control, and resources, like, wouldn't anyone want to protect their own in whatever way they can? Like, I'm just conflicted when I think about that. But obviously, like, that was wild. The fact that no one was bothered by it. The dad was not bothered by the situation at all, because obviously he's the one that probably paid for the hit, essentially. So yeah, that was a very depressing and dark episode for sure. On the other side, we see that the lawyer is deciding to reopen the case because the circumstances of Mahin's death are very suspicious. And like, again, I don't think this normally would happen. And I think it's refreshing to see that, you know, in the context of the show, that we're going to see the reopening of the case, and that investigations will, and that it'll be further investigated. But the reality is, I'm pretty sure that never happens. At least like in Pakistan, I would think it probably never happens, because of just like the way the world works, unfortunately. But one interesting development in terms of the story of our characters themselves is that we get to finally see, and it is confirmed, that Nashwa and the lawyer are actually cousins, and the lawyer's dad is essentially Nashwa's mom's ex, and they're actually in-laws. And so now I think the story is going to get really interesting. First of all, we're going to get to see Bisma, which is Nashwa's mom. We're going to probably get to see her interact with, or confront, or just come face to face with her ex, who she has not seen in so long. So that'll be really, really interesting. So I am looking forward to that. But I can't help but feel so terrible for what has happened, that I feel like it's really bitter, and I think it's distasteful for them to now go into the wedding festivities of Nashwa's cousin and all of that, because that's just been thrown on the side while Amar's been doing his things. All in all, the episode was really good. Disturbing for sure, but I am continuing to look forward to every single episode, and I really hope that we get to see some kind of justice and something good come out of this terrible experience that Mahin had to go through. And I also have to say, like, before we move on to the next show, like, I couldn't just help but wonder about Mahin's dad and her family. And I feel like these people are people, they have homes, they have people that, you know, care about them, and then इस तरह की चीज़ें होते हैं, and ऐसे होता है in real life. It's just, or just very lucky, you know, anyone that is safe, that has a roof over their head, that has people that care about them, watching out for them, anyone that is lucky enough to make good decisions, to be put in the right situations, to avoid situations like this, we're lucky, man. That's all I can say. I'm gonna try to go over the rest of the shows a little bit quickly though, because I am on a bit of a time crunch, but let's go right into Duniyapur. So there's a lot of change in command and a lot of different things happening in these last few episodes. First, we see that the police officer has decided to resign and join forces with Shamir, which I did not expect, because I feel like it's unrealistic. I feel like in reality he would have just gone away and lived his life. His like wife and kids, or like one kid, are going back to Canada. Like, I feel like he has a life elsewhere. Like, I think you would want to get away from whatever craziness is in Duniyapur, because it's not a safe place, and I feel like he's taking a huge risk. Given the fact that he has a family, a young child, it just seems very unrealistic. But I think he feels like he owes the dad to Shamir, but I don't know, I feel like it's a bit unrealistic. But I think the best thing that has happened so far in the show is we finally get to see Shamir's sister get a little bit of revenge on the crazy sister wife, or like, yeah, sister wife to his sister, because oh my god, she gets captured and she's like, I'm gonna treat you exactly how you treated me. And it's very satisfying. It's not a good thing. Two wrongs don't make a right, but I will say it is very satisfying, because the level of torture she had to go through for however many weeks that she was there, I'm glad. It's really refreshing. And the last thing that just gave me the ick a little bit was the fact that the old man is already looking for another wife, and I'm just like, he's like looking at a profile, I guess, and he's like, oh, she looks too old, and the girl is 24. I just, no comment on that. And I really, like, it says a lot. I really wonder what was Anna's upbringing like. Like, I don't understand how she has like a decent shoulder or a decent head on her shoulders. Like, it doesn't make sense to me because of how her dad is. Then we have Faraar, which this show has been disappointing me a little bit the last 2 episodes, especially the most recent episode, because again, we see that Batish is on the run with his friend this time because they're also suspecting him and their lives are in danger essentially, and they basically just start fighting after they escape because of the fact that Batish's friend is upset and frustrated with the situation that he finds himself in. And I'm just like, I just felt like they could have handled it better. They just start fighting, and then like the people that are on the hunt for Batish actually find him, but they don't know it's him because they don't actually know what he looks like, and they get away. Like, it just towards it bongia mare, I feel like it's a bit much. And I'm really curious because I don't know why that girl, the love interest, has disappeared. I don't know what I'm feeling honestly with the show. Like, I'm just like, where are you guys going with this? Like, I need the episodes to come out a little bit faster to keep like following what's going on. So I would definitely say that Faraar was the show that disappointed me the most this week, at least. Then we have Iqtidar, which has also consistently disappointed me, which is why I stopped watching the show for so long, but I started again for you guys. However, this episode, the last few, how do I say this? Like, it's just like, I just don't like this level of seriousness of the show, because I feel like it's trying to be more serious than it is, but it's really like a parody almost of the lives of these types of people, you know? So first of all, Shahnawaz is so unserious. He's useless. He doesn't know what to do. He's not doing anything. I don't even know what type of work he does in the political party or what he's doing. He's just like a puppet, it seems, because he can't think for himself when it comes to anything, including his own wife. And the mom is convinced of just like getting rid of Meru. I'm like, look, if she's in the corner on the side, who cares? Like, whatever, right? But I guess she feels loyalty to her brother and wants, you know, the cousins to get married or whatever, because they promised each other that they would get married. But it's clear that Amal is done with him too and is going to try to make him suffer in some capacity. So I really like, just, I don't know, there's gonna be a little bit of betrayal, it seems. But what's more annoying about the show right now is the fact that the brother, I forgot his name, but yeah, I don't remember his name, but he is trying to trap Muskan and put her in like a very compromising position. And for what? Like, it just seemed so ridiculous. And I feel like why? Like, who cares? Like, it's not that deep. Like, you did actually kill her brother at the end of the day. Why do you need to like continue to poke an injured like bear? For what purpose? Like, I feel like Meru is going to lose her shit on him at some point because she has no patience when it comes to him, and I kind of love that. But honestly, like, it's a bit much, and it's just like for the purposes of just like creating more drama for the show. But I'm really over it, to be honest. And I feel like we also need to really talk about Muskan's friend. That was so low. The fact that she betrayed her friend, and like, what are you thinking? What is he gonna do? Like, why would this person that is supposed to be a relative and whatever and helping her out all the time, why would he suddenly want to put her in this compromising situation? Why would you take money for that? Like, if it's that easy to buy people off, like, this girl is apparently someone that Muskan has known for a really long time, probably childhood friends or something, and she just takes some money and like betrays her friend and puts her in this kind of situation when she understands the way the world works, the way Pakistani society works, the way Muskan is, and how she would not be comfortable. Like, why would you do that? I really hope Muskan confronts her friend and cuts her off completely. I really hope that is a no-brainer for her, because that was ridiculous. Then let's talk about Meri Tanhai, which is a new drama that I started. The second episode just came out, and I have some thoughts. When I watched the first episode, I was like, okay, whatever, I'll just wait for the next episode, because I was like, okay, I just didn't have that much to go off of with the first episode. But the second episode was really irritating, because why did this guy just get engaged and then move to London for his master's, and now he's already fallen in love with a girl he bumped into and thought was rude? How are men like this? I just do not understand. Like, he got engaged a minute ago, literally a minute ago. And like the girl that he's engaged to, first of all, the first episode I didn't notice that this guy, the main character, he looks a little bit older. But in the second episode I did feel like, oh, he doesn't look like, you know, he's in his like early 20s, like he looks older. And then when you see the girl that he's engaged to, she looks like a child compared to him. And of course this scary cousin is like, oh well, like, you know, if you set someone free and they don't come back to you, then he was never yours to begin with. They're already setting up the show for him to fall in love with this girl, who apparently everyone else in the comments has realized already that that's his long lost cousin. And like they're probably gonna fall in love or something. Like, why? Why do we need to do this in every show? Can't we just keep it like, I don't know, can we just not? Why do we need to switch partners multiple times in a show? I don't get it. Now, speaking of switching partners, let's go to Ghair, which is the last show we're going to talk about. Honestly, I've been enjoying the last couple of episodes. I have to say though, the one thing consistent with Ghair, one thing that is so consistent, is how useless of a man Salis is. Like, it is crazy how much like uselessness he embodies. It is insane to me, and it's so disappointing. The biggest thing that I had to point out with Ghair was the fact that even till the end, he does now want the girl back. What's her name? Wafa back. And the fact that even then he does not have the strength to go inside and try to reconcile. It has to be his grandfather, who previously hated him at the start of the show, but he's like, oh, let me take you inside, I'm gonna make this happen for you. I'm like, bro, you cannot stand on your own 2 feet for even a second. It's so frustrating. It is so frustrating. I cannot deal with this guy, honestly. And thankfully Wafa is like, no, this guy's only here because Shifa has finally rejected him. And I think like Shifa is like out of the picture, but she just wants people to suffer now, I think. But yeah, I was just really glad though that Shifa was like, no. And then they're gonna take now sorry, not Shifa, Wafa. I love the fact that Wafa is gonna be taken out on a treat with like her actual real family. And of course Shifa messages through Wafa's phone to Salis to be like, oh, let's meet up over here or something like that. And Salis is just like, okay, sure. And my question is, Salis didn't message her back and be like, oh, sure, see you then, or like be like, oh, we can just talk on the phone now, or anything, right? And like Wafa never checks her phone as a result as well, because I guess he never messaged. Like, it just थोड़ा ज़्यादा हो रहा है, बोंगिया too much हो रही है. It's just frustrating to watch, honestly. But I am, again, really liking the fact that Wafa is taking a stand for herself, and I like the fact that she is not interested in the other cousin. I forgot his name right now, but the Shifa's brother. I'm really glad that they're not going that direction, but I am very curious to see what's going to happen, and I'm really excited because the other episodes are coming out very shortly, so can't wait for all of that. The last show we have to talk about is Ishq E Junoon, and I have been liking the show. However, there was some ridiculousness in this week's episodes, because how did Eamon just suddenly agree to marry him, given the fact that she is convinced that he tried to end her life? Like, it doesn't make any sense. But before we go to the ridiculousness, I really want to talk about the dad. First of all, it was a really tough episode, the one that came out, I think it was episode 17, and it was really hard to watch, because you get to, like, I think the dad was the main character in that episode at least, and you know, he's trying to fight for his daughter, he's crying, he's sick, he's upset and frustrated, but he's still there for his daughter no matter what, and he believes in his daughter so much. And then she throws all of that away by very quickly agreeing to the marriage to Rahim, even though the dad is like, hell no. And he makes it very clear that, you know, by doing that, you're like basically proving that all the accusations prior to all of this were true. And I totally agree with him. The way they did all of this, that's what it seems like, and I can understand why he was so hurt. But I don't understand how everyone was like, no, we gotta do everything right now. Like, we can't even sit and talk about it. We can't talk to Raheem and be like, or Raheem can't talk to the dad and be like, hey, like, I'm telling you, this is the truth. I understand you're confused or whatever, but this is why I'm doing this. Like, it was just ridiculous. It was so ridiculous. And his frustration was so valid, and his hurt was so valid. And I just really like this uncle as the dad in a lot of shows, and he's always like the wholesome uncle. I really hope his actor in real life is like a good guy, because I really like his acting and like his characters, because they give me wholesome vibes. So I don't want him to secretly be like an evil, terrible person in real life, because I really like felt for his character, especially in that episode. It was so difficult to watch. And then we have the fact that, like, okay, honestly, with Eamon and Rahim, there's just this miscommunication and like lack of full information from both sides, and so they like hate each other, but they're not going to talk about it, but they decide to just quickly get married. Like, it didn't make any sense. It really disappointed me. Ishq E Junoon has been such a good show up until now, and I just felt like all of that just came out of nowhere. Yeah, that's how I feel. So those were my thoughts on the shows this week. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Which of the shows were you most surprised by in this week's episodes, and which show like made you kind of want to drop it this week? Let me know in the comments below, and also definitely share any good dramas that you guys are watching that are airing right now, and I might check them out, because I feel like some of the shows are like moving towards their end, so I'll definitely have more time in my schedule to watch more shows in the coming weeks, I think. Let me know, and I will see you guys in the next video. Assalamu alaikum.